Hello Stowe community, and welcome to part 3 of Foundry Essentials Back to the Basics tutorial. In the second part, I taught you more about building your maps, putting things on your map. I do want to stress though that these are post-season 6 tutorials, so there have been some changes to Foundry that make some of the old ways of doing things, well, they're definitely not obsolete, they still all work, but there are new alternative ways to build your project, and I want to make sure that I'm not just teaching veteran ways of doing things, and I'm showcasing some of the new features. So we're going to take a step back from the project that I was working on before I just put aside, and I created a new project. I haven't done anything to it. I haven't even created a map for it. We're going to start in the Story tab. Let's say that we want to create a mission where the player does one of two things, and you can choose which one you want to use. He either gets a hail from an admiral who tells him or her, just go to Vulcan, pick up a diplomat. Or he goes to Earth's space dock to talk with an admiral who tells the player, hey, go to Vulcan to pick up a diplomat. So you have a choice. Do you want the player to go directly to the planet after being hailed by an admiral, or do you want the player to go to a cryptic map? And by cryptic map, we're really referring to the social zones. So think of Earth Space Dock, think of Drazana Station. There are also some planets. There's Vulcan and Andoria, places where there are default NPCs that a player can talk to. And it's usually someone who tells them to go somewhere else. Personally, I tend to like going directly to the planet a lot better. I don't think players really enjoy going to Earth Space Dock just to talk to somebody who tells them, hey, you, go someplace else. I have done it in 2 of my missions because the missions involved a custom map on those stations. So I had an admiral's office on Earth Space Dock, so I used the social zone. Or in a different mission, I had a bar set on Drazana Station, so I used that cryptic map as the first map. Otherwise, if I'm telling a player to go to Vulcan to pick up a Vulcan diplomat, I don't want to make him go to Earth Space Dock first just to talk to some admiral. Maybe I might do it with Vulcan, since Vulcan is pretty close to Earth Space Dock, but I probably wouldn't do it if it was Ryza or anywhere else. But I'm going to show you both ways to do that. The first box here is Grant Mission Dialogue. This is the second thing that a player sees from your mission. The first thing they see is the description of, say, what the mission's about. Then they hit Hail, and that's when they get this box. Usually it's an admiral who says, hey, you, go here. And you can, hey, you, go to. The go-to instructions I'm going to put as mission info because I want them to be green. I want them to be green and says, go to the Vulcan system in the Sierra sector block. Or I could use out-of-character text for something else. Say, well, there's no real standard way of using out-of-character text, but I see a lot of players use it this way. It's text that elaborates on the story. It's not something that's spoken to you, but it's more like stuff that's narrated. So, out-of-character text will be orange, and it might say, you stand at the window and you ponder the fate of millions of dying, helpless children on some world. That's an example of out-of-character text. It's something that no one's saying to you, but it's something that the player needs to read. But this guy is just going to say, hey, you, go to Vulcan, pick up a diplomat. And I'm going to pick a costume. I can pick any of these cryptic-made costumes. They're all pre-made. You can't modify them. Or I could create a costume myself, and it would show up in this asset view list. I could pick a costume from the social zones. If somebody like DJ Zuza let's just use him. Or I could use one of my officers. And my officers, it's going to be, well, they're going to be different for every player because every player has different bridge officers. So you might keep that in mind when writing dialogue. You don't want a very emotional Vulcan in your story. I'm just going to use DJ Zuzu. And DJ Zuzu is going to say, DJ Zuzu. Okay. There's DJ Zuzu, and you can select a different animation. Maybe he's angry, maybe he's happy, robotic. And he's going to say, hey, you, go to Vulcan and pick up a diplomat. The first thing you may wonder next is, okay, what do I do? How do I go to the planet? If you've already made your Vulcan set, it will appear over here. But if you haven't made it, let's just make it right now. We'll do a new space map. And boom, the traffic police appear. This is the guy who tells you you're about to enter somewhere. You're about to go to a map. And we can't leave from the whole map, so we have to decide, okay, where are we leaving from? Well, if we're going to Vulcan, we want to leave from the point in sector space of the Vulcan system. That's our first door. So in this example, the bridge officer will say, sir, we're approaching Vulcan. Are you ready to enter the system? And then the mission will progress from that, where DJ Zuzu will hail you. He'll say, hey, you, go to Vulcan, pick up a diplomat. And then when you get to Vulcan, your bridge officer will say, we've arrived. Are you ready to enter the map? And then once you enter the map, you need to have something for the player to do. I just want the player to arrive in the Vulcan system and approach Vulcan to beam down to the next map. That's all I'll do in this example. So the mission text will be approach the system, or approach the planet. And then what do I do? Well, I put in a new space map, so let's see what's under the map tab. Okay, there's Vulcan, partially created. Alright, so let's finish the creation. And I'll do a space map, a pre-made map. Let's search for Vulcan. Okay, there's the Vulcan system. Alright, and that's what it looks like. Okay, let's scroll out. There's my spawn point. I don't know why it's there and not here, but let's put it here. And I want to approach the planet, which means I need to use a place marker, which is, I need to place a marker rather. And a marker is a circle on a map. And right now you can't see the circle because it's just way too small. It's got a radius of 0.9. Let's change it to 30. Okay, you see it there, but it's still too small. Change it to 50. That's better, but let's go 55. And let's center it. Okay. So now the player needs to approach the planet, and once the player reaches this point, crosses that border, that will trigger that the task has been complete. But we have to put the task in the storyboard. So now we put reach a marker in the storyboard. What's the mission text? It's approach the planet. Waypoints will keep as automatic because the waypoints are the circles on the map that tell a player where to go. The marker, we have to click on it and specify what marker do you want to use. Yeah, that's the marker. It's in the Vulcan system. Place marker 1. Okay. And what happens after that? Well, I'll have the player beam down. So let's do a new map right here. There comes the traffic police now, and he says, "Ready to beam down, sir?" And I'll change this to, instead of go to next map, it'll be continue. We're ready to beam down. This map name I'll also call Vulcan. And I can be the text says go talk to diplomat, and then it needs a task. So let's try to have a dialogue with contact. Okay, talk to ambassador. Ambassador so and so. We can use. Oh, there are no components of that type on this map. Let's go to the map. And there's our partially created map. Finish the creation. We'll do an outdoor map. It seems to know that I'm creating an outdoor map. And we'll see if we can use Vulcan. Okay, there's Vulcan. Create. Map with that name already exists in a project. That's new. Okay, Vulcan ground. Create. And here I am on Vulcan. I don't know why the spawn point is there. Let's put it up there. And I need to have a contact. I need to have the ambassador, so I will put an NPC contact, and you can just pick one and put them where you want to put them. And then go back to the story tab and specify, hey, that's the contact I want to use. Okay, so that's really the easiest way to enter a mission, is to make the first prompt a hail, followed by specify the system that you want to start in, and then start with the first map of that system, and then just go from there. But there's also an opportunity to use a cryptic map. So let's just change the story here. Instead of DJ Zuza telling you to go to Vulcan, he's going to say, hey dog, bring me some tunes, bring me some beats. Then we'll use a cryptic map, and we'll specify dialogue with contact. Find DJ. We'll specify DJ Zuza. And then he'll say, hey dog, I need the latest tracks from Vulcan. Can you go to Vulcan and get me the beats? This means the player will have to physically travel to Earth's space dock, talk to the DJ. The DJ will tell, hey, go someplace else. And so after that, we'll put in the Vulcan space map. And there's the traffic police is where you leaving from, and I will specify, or where are you entering, and I'll specify the Vulcan door. Another thing that you could do is, instead of specifying the Vulcan system, you could specify something else, like something at Earth Space Dock. There's a wall console, and that would take you directly to Vulcan somehow, or there's a potted plant you could interact with, and that would take you directly to Vulcan. But for this mission, what makes the most sense is to use Vulcan as the door, and the NPC will say, we've arrived, are you ready to beam down? Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to show you for this time. Stay tuned for next time when we'll get into putting enemies in a map and messing with NPCs. Okay, thanks!